Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In our previous lecture, we discussed the plot of the novel Arrow of God by Chinua Achebe. Today we are going to be looking at the roles that each character play in detail. So please subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you get notified when the video on the major themes in the novel is uploaded. The first character we are going to be discussing today is the character of Ezeulu. Ezeulu's pride motivates him throughout the whole novel of Arrow of God. Ezeulu is the priest, or is the chief priest of Ulu, the god that rules Umairo. Ezeulu plays a prominent role in Umairo, a collection of 6 villages in southeastern Nigeria in the novel. As chief priest, Ezeulu feels obligated to offer his advice, even though the people don't seem to pay attention to him. When they ignore him, his feelings get hurt. Ezeulu believes that the people don't have proper respect for Ulu, and when Nwaka challenges Ulu, suggesting that he may be a useless god and the people should get rid of him, Ezeulu is put on the defensive without the people raising objection to the suggestion of Nwaka. So Ezeulu's adherence to duty means that he tells Winterbottom the truth when Winterbottom asks how the war between Umairo and Okperi began. So the people of Umairo are angry with Ezeulu, especially since it causes Winterbottom to rule in Okperi's favor, that the war should stop and Okperi should take over the land. So the people are further disturbed when Ezeulu sent his son Oduche to school and to church to learn the ways of the white man. The people blame Ezeulu for bringing the British to Umairo. Ezeulu resent all the backbiting of his neighbors and the people in Umairo community, his friends and his kinsmen, and recognizes that it is coming from one source, that the person responsible for all the backbiting and all the gossiping against Ezeulu and Ulu is Nwaka, who is aided by the priest of Idemili, Ezeidemili. When things start to go badly in Ezeulu's household, the tension escalates between Ezeulu and his enemies. Ezeulu's son Oduche commits an abomination against the royal python, which belongs to the god Idemili. Because of the priest Idemili's insult, Ezeulu refuses to do anything special to purify his house. Then his son Obika is wiped by Mr. Wright because he is late coming to work on the road. Ezeulu blames Obika and his son Edogo, criticizing him for choosing a stranger over his son, because Ezeulu wants to adhere to the truth. He doesn't want to sideline or to side his child against the stranger, despite that the stranger is right. And when Udoche imprisoned the python belonging to Idemili, and Idemili was fighting that Ezeulu must purify his house by bringing goat and wine to the shrine of Idemili, Ezeulu refused. So Ezeulu is further frustrated when Captain Winterbottom sent a mysterious message that Ezeulu should appear before him in Okperi. As chief priest of Ulu, Ezeulu doesn't wander far from his hut. But the elders and men of title convinced him that he should go, and he set out the next day, unaware that Winterbottom has put out a warrant of arrest for him. And detained in Okperi for several days, he has a vision of Nwaka inciting Umairo to rise up and destroy Ulu. So Ezeulu sees the people spiting on him and claiming that he is the priest of a dead god. He suddenly realizes that his battle is with his own people, not with the white man at all. The longer Ezeulu is detained, the better he can plan his revenge. He recognizes that he is Ulu's arrow of punishment. He believes the people need to be taught a lesson and need to learn to respect Ulu, because the people did not respect Ulu as Ezeulu wants. And at the end, what happened between the people and Ezeulu and Ulu? Several people abandoned Ulu and then followed the God of the Christians, the God of the missionaries. So Ezeulu was really disturbed when such happened, but later was almost defeated by his own people, because the God of the Christians, people have sacrificed to the God of the Christian, they have taken their yam to the God of the Christian, and they began the yam festival, which Ezeulu has planned to punish the people by prolonging the date of the yam festival. Another character is Captain Winterbottom. Captain T.K. Winterbottom is old school British military. He is very dutiful, patriotic, and obedient to command from his superiors, even when he disagrees with their orders. At first, when reading the novel, I assumed that Winterbottom simply liked his powerful position when he brags about his reputation in Umairo. But soon, I discovered that Winterbottom really believes in the African project. And not only that, he also holds himself to very high moral standard, because he wants to be an example to the Africans around him. I also see Winterbottom, we can see that the administrator's inflexibility and lack of respect for experienced men like Winterbottom, who have lived in Africa for years, eats away at him. And at a point, he's almost frustrated by the hierarchy and the administration in Umairo. In the final scene, Winterbottom expresses total contempt for the orders of his superiors. Then another major character in the novel is Nwaka. Nwaka is Ezeulu's nemesis and Ezeulu's enemy in the novel. Every time we see Nwaka in Arrow of God, he is challenging Ulu or criticizing Ulu's high priest Ezeulu. Nwaka believes strongly that Ezeulu is power hungry, that he is trying to grab more authority than he is due. Nwaka also appears to be motivated by his friendship with Ezeidemili, the priest of a lesser god Idemili. Ezeidemili fortifies and strengthens Nwaka in his attack on Ezeulu's character. Nwaka might be power hungry himself as well, or he might be manipulated by Ezeidemili, who may be hoping to destroy Ulu so that Idemili can take the place of Ulu as the highest god in Umairo. Though we don't see any growth in Nwaka's character over the course of the novel, he does accompany the other men when they visit Ezeulu to beg him to announce the day for the feast of the new yam. In other words, he squashes whatever enmity he has towards Ezeulu for the good of all the people of Umairo. But did Ezeulu succumb to the plea? No, because he ensured he ate the 3 remaining tubers of yam, which will cost 3 months before he will announce a date for the New Yam Festival. And that led to the destruction of the tradition, especially Ulu. Another character in the novel is Obika. Obika is Ezeulu's son. He's an irresponsible young man, if you permit me to use such word. He's a young man who drinks too much and act impulsively. One example of his impulsive behavior is the time when he almost killed his half-sister's husband. Everybody let Obika get away with his rash action. However, because he is so handsome, could that be the reason why they left him to be behaving irrational and no any form of a punishment? Well, it could be because of his handsomeness. In the course of the novel, Obika changes. Two things change him. The humiliation of being wiped publicly by the white man and getting married. His marriage in particular seems to help Obika to grow. But Obika doesn't have a chance to explore his newfound maturity and wisdom. Almost as soon as he gains the maturity, he dies suddenly. And the people of Umairo believe that the death of Obika was orchestrated by Ulu. They believe that Ulu is punishing Ezeulu by killing Obika. Is that true? We cannot really verify. Another character in the novel is Oduche. Oduche is Ezeulu's next to youngest son. He's proud to be his father's eyes and ears in the white man's culture by attending church and school. But soon, he finds his loyalties are divided. On the one hand, he wants to please his father. On the other hand, he wants to please the catechist at church. He can't do both. There are two critical moments in Arrow of God when Oduche chooses the church over his father, and Ezeulu interprets it as a betrayal. The first moment is when Oduche locks the royal python up in his box, hoping it will asphyxiate and die. It is an act of rebellion, but more importantly, it is a moment when Oduche tests the taboos of his culture. He discovers that there is no real penalty to his actions. Though Ezeulu rages against him, and though the village talk about what he has done, Oduche suffers no serious consequences. Could it be that the God of the Christian was the one protecting him from the anger of Idemili and Idemili for touching the python and for locking the python inside the box? Well, we can't really say. Based on the fact that there seems to be no repercussion for his actions, Oduche commits a second act that his father considered a betrayal. When the catechist decides to take advantage of Ezeulu's stubbornness and the farmer to encourage people to leave the old tradition of Ulu and become Christians, Oduche doesn't mention it to his father. Although Ezeulu intended Oduche to be his eyes and ears, he doesn't realize that Oduche's exposure to another way of life and another God will change him into somebody who no longer fits in his own culture. Because his father was expecting that if such thing happens in the church, when the catechist mentioned to the worshippers, to the Christians, that they should bring their yam into the church and give it to the God, the Christian God, so that they can harvest their yam. Ezeulu was expecting that his son should report to him, but Oduche never mentioned that to his father. Why? He has accepted Christianity, not only going there as a spy or an informant for his father. He has totally changed and followed the way of the Christians. So his father too, he doesn't consider his father as somebody that he can confide or give information to again, because his father is in the dark religion, the traditional religion, and he has seen the light being a Christian in the context of this novel. Another character in the novel is Moses Unachuku. Moses Unachuku is the first Christian in Umairo. Having spent several years on a mission station in a neighboring region, and as the only man in all of Umairo who speaks English, he feels like something of a local expert. And you can imagine the sense of you being the only one that can speak English in the entire community. You feel like a local champion and an expert. So the people do admire Moses for his skill, but the new catechist at the church, Mr. Good Country, think he is upbeat and does not like Moses Nwachukwu so much, because the people even the members of the church listen to Unachuku more than the catechist and Mr. Good Country. So they two, that is Mr. Good Country and Unachuku, clash over whether Christians should try to destroy the royal python, a taboo in Umairo. Moses believed they should leave those traditional symbols like royal python alone, while Mr. Good Country argues that Christians need to be willing to be martyred for their faith by killing the python and destroying every vestiges of traditional religion. Is that good? I think it is no. Moses wins by writing to the bishop and asking for his support. Then the bishop does offer him support, and Moses wins that round of the battle, and the people were cautioned not to destroy traditional heritage. But they should not worship any traditional god. They should focus on Christian God alone. Eventually, both men, that is Moses and Mr. Good Country, reconcile. When Mr. Good Country decides that the church can profit by inviting the people of Umairo to sacrifice their yam to the Christian God instead to the Ulu. Clark is another character in the novel, is Tony Clark. Clark is the assistant district officer, newly arrived in Noperi. He acts as district officer when Winterbottom is in the hospital. Clark believes it to be a civic duty to bring civility to Africa. He is an idealist and an optimist with some liberal-minded ideas, including the genuine belief that there are some good indigenous traditions that ought to be maintained and sustained. He has less regard for administrative hierarchy, a clear departure from men like Winterbottom, who adhere strictly to the hierarchy, especially to the colonial hierarchy. Over the course of his early tenure, Clark realizes that other administrative officials see indigenous culture as wholly inferior and the native as nothing more than natural resources to exploit. Clark idealism also falters when Ezeulu curtly refuses to be grateful and obliging when Clark tells him he is being given the title of warrant chief. He ultimately releases Ezeulu from detention because he feels uncomfortable holding him with no legitimate charge. He was not charged to the colonial court. He was just being held for months. So that is another form of inhumanity. Another character in the novel is John Wright. Mr. Wright worked for the Public Works Department, supervising a new road between Okperi and Umairo. Unlike the punctilious Winterbottom and the high-minded Wright, high-minded Wright believes the native are stupid and lazy. Can you imagine that? And look upon them as subhuman. He is sadistic toward them in supervising their labor and has a reputation of sleeping with native women. And he was the one also who wiped the son of Ezeulu when he was late to work on the road. So you could see he sleep with local women and at the same time consider them as subhuman beings. Another character in the novel is Edogo. Edogo seems like a good-hearted man. He loves his wife and his child and worries about their health. He is respectful to his father and fulfills his duty to his family. But deep down inside, he resents the way his father Ezeulu favors Nwaka over all other sons. Though Edogo doesn't want to be the chief priest of Ulu after his father, he realizes that his father may be creating a mess by giving Nwaka the impression that he will be the new priest. Ulu is the one to choose the new priest, not Ezeulu. Because Ezeulu sent Oduche to school and to church to learn the ways of the white man, Edogo realizes that his father may be sacrificing Oduche in order to clear the way for Nwaka to become the chief priest. So Edogo finally approaches Ezeulu's best friend, Achebe, and asks him to speak to his father. Achebe despises Edogo in that moment, suggesting that he is cowardly and weak. He implies that Edogo really wants to be the priest and that he is hiding behind this excuse of his father sending Oduche to the white man's church and school and then training Nwaka in the way of Ulu. So at least on the surface, though, Edogo seems to be an honest man with only one desire: to be a renowned mass carver. His career, his plan is to develop a good career in max carving marks, and not having anything to do with Ulu as being the priest of Ulu. But his father training Nwaka means that he has chosen Nwaka to be the priest of Ulu after him. But the tradition does not allow such. What the tradition allows is that when at the death of Ezeulu, the Ulu will be a sacrifice will be made to Ulu. Then Ulu will select one of the sons of Ezeulu. But it seems Ezeulu is not planning for such. He's already putting Nwaka in the way of the gods so that Nwaka can take over from him. And at the end of the story, at the end of the novel, Achebe actually discuss with Ezeulu what his son Edogo has expressed to him. But Ezeulu despises Achebe and continue with his way of life. So at the end, he also was almost disgraced by the people. Okay? So these 9 characters are good to go with. In our subsequent lecture, we are going to be discussing more characters in the novel. Please have a good day and remember to subscribe. Thank you. We meet in our next lecture. All right.